This video contains mature subject matters including graphic violence, death, and assault. This video is not intended for anyone under 18 years of age.
American serial killer Dennis Rader, a resident of a Wichita, Kansas suburb, was arrested on February 25, 2005. He would be charged with the murders of 10 people in Wichita and Park City, Kansas between the years of 1974 and 1991.
You're watching House of Crime Podcast.
Rader gave himself the moniker of BTK, meaning bind them, torture them, kill them. He was known to stalk his victims sometimes for months before the final crime. Rader got inside the homes of his victims either through breaking and entering or using a ruse and being allowed entry into the home. He would then attempt to calm the victim prior to strangling them in most of the cases. Rader bound his victims and then enjoyed taking photos of them. He often took items from their homes. Rader used the word projects to refer to his victims and potential victims. As an example, Vicki Wagerly was referred to as Project Piano because he often heard her playing the piano while walking past her home as he stalked her. In regards to the stalking and murder of Nancy Jo Fox, Rader referred to her as Project Fox Hunt. During the years that Dennis Rader stalked and murdered 10 people, he had a family, including a wife and 2 children. He owned a home. Rader obtained a bachelor's degree in science with a focus on the administration of justice. He held numerous jobs over the years, including being a dog catcher, city compliance officer, and for several years, he installed security systems in people's homes for ATD. He also served time in the United States Air Force. Rader was a Boy Scout leader, a church member, and eventually the president of his church's congregation. He considered himself a poet. In all typical social metrics, Dennis Rader was achieving what most would consider the American dream. No one was aware that Dennis Rader was stalking potential victims. His first crime, and possibly the most horrific, was the murder of 4 members of the Otero family. He stalked the mother and wife, Julie, and the 11-year-old daughter, Josephine. He referred to these potential victims as Project Little Mets, although the family had Puerto Rican heritage. At the time that he committed this crime, his first child was just a few weeks old. Rader went on to kill 6 other people that we are aware of, although he is suspected of murders in 3 other states.
Wow.
Dennis Rader not only left DNA at some of the crime scenes, but kept copies of all the correspondence that he sent over the years to the police department, the local newspaper and news stations, the local library, and items left around town. All of this evidence tied him directly to the crimes. Rader pled guilty to 10 charges of first-degree murder. Although he was not eligible for the death penalty, this monster will be long dead before he is eligible for parole in 2180.
A person with a normal childhood who grew up and terrorized a town for more than 25 years. A person with no prior convictions who killed 4 people, including 2 children, during his first serious crime. A person who had every opportunity in the world to succeed and become a good member of society. A person who wanted to become a notorious serial killer and felt the need to control and terrorize others. This is who Dennis Rader was. As a child, Dennis Rader enjoyed torturing and strangling cats and dogs, wrapping them in baling wire and hanging them in his grandparents' barn. He felt sexual excitement when watching chickens being slaughtered for dinner and when he was spanked. Dennis Rader felt extreme enjoyment when his own mother was caught in a sofa calling for help, completely unable to help herself. As a child, Rader carried around 3x5 index cards that had cut out photos of women with drawn ligatures and gags on. He began watching women, including a teacher, outside their windows and pleasuring himself. He fantasized about tying women to railroad tracks. He was considered a poor student, but polite. He did not interact much with others. One acquaintance said Rader was like a robot with a dead stare. He had no sense of humor. He was possibly the best-looking kid in school. Dennis Rader claims that he was never physically or sexually assaulted as a child. He did, however, have at least 2 incidents where he received a head injury. Dennis Rader would eventually be diagnosed with narcissistic, obsessive-compulsive, and antisocial personality disorder. Today, Rader is 78 years old, a prisoner serving time in the El Dorado Correctional Facility, just miles away from where he raised his children and killed his victims. He was never allowed to serve time in general population, so he has spent all of his time segregated, alone in his small cell. He is in terrible health, has no teeth, and gets around in a wheelchair. He will die in prison, probably sooner than later. No amount of punishment against Dennis Rader can ever bring back the lovely people that he murdered, or the despair he brought upon the families of the victims. Want to learn more about the BTK victims, his disturbing crimes, and how he was finally caught? And his chilling confessions? Our full video series dives deep into those details, providing the most comprehensive information available on this notorious killer. Next week's episode, we'll close out this chapter of Dennis Rader. We will cover all of the loose ends, including the other murders he may have committed and how he spent his private time. Like and subscribe, follow for our shorts. We release them every day.